Alright folks, welcome to part 2 of our Road to Masters. And the first one, we did our first 3 races for our placement, and now today we'll be doing, at the very least, our last 2 placement races, and possibly more. And as you can see here, our now 4th placement race is going to be at Brazil. I checked the weather there. I thought about putting on the wet setup, but I figured with the percentages that low, and the fact that pretty much no one's going to have setups, let alone wet and dry setups, I figured just, run my dry setup regardless if it rains or not. We should still be good as long as we nail our qualifying. Like I said in the first episode, that is obviously very important because if you get into the field one time, people will try to take you out because, especially during placements, when you're not in the S safety lobbies yet, people are going to be dirty. And there you can see a vital mistake I just made right there, and that is invalidating my lap, which means I will have to start in the field, which is, yeah, kind of worst case scenario in rank. You're going to see firsthand why you really want to make sure that doesn't happen. And now, approaching the race here, we had people leave during qualifying, which is unfortunate, so only a 5-car grid, but we are starting the back of those 5 cars. We get a decent start here, but there's nowhere really to go, so we just kind of play it patient. It's so hard when you got drivers around you just are inconsistent, erratic, and do things like the leader just did to that guy there. But just like that, we're up to 2nd place, and yeah, in a really good spot. Just be patient, wait for an easy moment to overtake our opponent here, cruise off to an easy win, and profit with the points. I mean, that's the game plan at least. And now heading up to the next corner. I don't know which corner number it is. He seems to break a lot, so I think maybe I can squeak in there, but no, there just wasn't the room. I saw his car shake on the outside, and I saw his car come to the outside, so I figured, hey, I got space to at least come up the inside so that I can get the inside line for that right-hander, but that's just a frustrating thing. Maybe in hindsight I'm even more patient, but when someone's driving that slow and they're erratically, it's just hard to avoid sometimes. But it is what it is. It's frustrating, but we continue on because there is still a result to get. While we are in 5th right now, we got plenty of time and plenty of pace to make up for it. And we already got 4th place in our sights here, as he was one of the people that got taken out on that first Senna S of lap 1. Yeah, you can see he must have damage or something's breaking very early, very slow for the corner. He definitely got a warning on that corner, kind of like we did on our qualifying lap. And yeah, something I definitely noticed about a lot of lower level players is that they don't save the ERS at all. They just absolutely burn it at every opportunity. And yeah, we easily get by him there with damage, and we set our sights on the next guy. As you can see now, approaching the end of lap 3, we're going to be coming up to the penultimate lap here at the line. We have caught the next driver. We are setting fastest laps along the way. We know we got the pace. We just got to find the opportunity to overtake. We got the DRS here. We got a big run. And yeah, that's extremely frustrating. He's just braking a lot. I don't know why he is braking so much for that corner. It's one of those things where it's like, I league race regularly, and I don't have any issues or incidents at all. It's just when people just drive like this, it's so inconsistent, so erratic. I even broke probably almost a full car length early compared to what I normally was, and he was 4 or 5 car lengths ahead of me, and I still ended up at the back room just because he broke so much for the corner. It's just so hard to drive consistently around drivers that just drive so erratically. And now we got wing damage as well, which is just the frustration is just adding up in this race. But try to keep our cool the best we can and just do the best we can do. And coming to the score, we have a little look to the inside, and he just turns into us and takes us out. And yeah, it's just another that's why I say about how important qualifying is, because these people can and will fuck your day up. Every single opportunity they get, they will just run into you like they're not there. They drive so erratic, it's so hard to avoid collisions with them. And yeah, they just generally drive like assholes. And now here we are, dead last in a race where we're probably a second and a half a lap faster than the entire field easily. And yeah, this is going to be a hit to our placements, which is really unfortunate, but hopefully we're still able to get the best possible placement of that silver 2. Yeah, after having a terrible race, which you'll have every time you have to race in the field in ranked, we move on to a much bigger lobby here, this time at Austria. And yeah, we're going to nail our qualifying this time and just got to make sure that we don't invalidate, especially with a big field like this. It's going to be a really bad time, especially since this is our last placement race as well. Really, I know I keep reiterating the same thing, but you really want to get that max placement, especially when you don't know your SR is. You don't know how fast or slow you're going to gain these points. Getting that nice start, I mean, it's a huge difference. You can get placements as low as, like bronze too. And that's a huge difference between silver 2. That's literally 3 whole ranks up. You just don't got to get. And obviously on this road to Masters, I want to get there as quickly as possible because I want to have that Masters rank early in the game to kind of show it off. And also because I don't really want to play Masters the whole year. Play Road to Masters all year. I want to play it very minimal. I enjoy playing the game with people that don't just hit you on purpose at every moment, which is all that ranked is, unfortunately. And yeah, we put together a somewhat passable qualifying lap. It's good enough for pole at this level. We'll have to do a little bit more qualifying laps when we get up to the gold ranks probably. But for the time being, a lap like that, even a lap that wouldn't really put together that well. A lot of poorly taken corners, hit a couple curves that shouldn't hit, and still take pole by a couple of tenths, which sets us up nicely for what you just saw there. Is a pretty decent sized lobby. At least 14 people in this race. And as you can see right there, that's the best representation I can give you of how important qualifying is. Do you see how many people actually put in a legal lap, let alone a legal lap on pace? Even in gigantic lobbies, you just set a decent lap and don't make gigantic mistakes of it. You're already looking good to start ahead of 3/4 of the field, which is obviously massive. And heading into this race, I really want to have a good recovery after... we've already had 2 races in placements that didn't go well, which is super frustrating. We had the one race where I spun out at Belgium, and then we had the Brazil race where I invalidated the lap, and then in the race, if you get near those types of humans in rank, they're just gonna cause collisions every time. It's just impossible to race around people that are so inconsistent and so erratic. I can't emphasize enough how annoying it is. I know we all deal with it. And also how important just being where I am right now is. Starting in front of everyone and hopefully not getting beamed into turn 1, and hopefully now we can have a nice recovery race, which would be huge with all these people in it. The game's algorithm will really like that, and like I said, hopefully still get that perfect silver 2 placement rate. And hopefully not a terrible safety placement rank as well. We get an okay start. We're going to be the whole way ahead of the 2nd place heading into turn 1, and we just get absolutely beamed into turn 1. Even though we even broke slightly late. And yeah, it's just been really frustrating so far in this episode. Brazil, every human I got near, it just drove erratically. And here, I did absolutely nothing wrong. Even with a terrible lap, I qualified pole. And yeah, I just get absolutely beamed at no fault of my own turn 1, and I'm in 18th out of 18. I mean, just tons of contact in front of me. You see just the absolute incompetence in these lobbies. Just gotta try to be smooth. Just be afraid of everyone, basically. Just try to stay out of everyone's way. Just let the carnage unfold around you. Hopefully not get ran off the track with this guy. We're going to go around the outside. Do get a warning there, but we're going to be able to hold it. Man, it's just such an eventful first lap and such a frustrating first lap as well. I should be out in front, already getting close to being out of DRS range, but instead I'm probably a whole 10 seconds behind with another 10 cars in front of me, and yeah, my last placement race is just basically ruined as no fault of my own. But we were able to go after getting spun out to 18th, back up to 11th by the end of the lap, mainly just because of everyone colliding with each other. Yeah, hopefully we can catch up to some of these guys and start getting by them quickly. I know that there's going to be a lot more mistakes by the cars in front of me in this race and a lot more overly aggressive driving, so I'm hoping I don't get involved in that and I can kind of take advantage of it happening around me, so hopefully I don't have to make as many overtakes as you usually would if people race clean. I like to take the free spots. Free spots are the best spots. I don't want to have to work my overtakes. I just want everyone to mess up. I just drive smooth and win. But not always that easy. Make the overtake there on that guy, up into the top 10, which is still a horrible spot for us to be with, and already 2 of our laps gone. And that's another frustrating thing about getting a track like this in rank. Not only is it a short lap, so we just have less time to make it happen, but it's also an easy track to drive with lots of straights, so skill makes less of a difference on a track like this than it would like, for example, Singapore or like a Miami. Tracks like that that are longer, have more cornering sections. I really see these guys battling head. I mean, I don't like it when people hit each other, but I'm kind of hoping it happens up here that people hit each other a little bit. Give me some free positions like that. He gets ran onto the sausage curve. Sucks to be him. We get the position. This guy's going to defend super hard to the inside, but he's going to give us the room on the outside. Carry good speed around the outside. He does leave us room there, so we've got to give him credit. And as predicted, he's going to absolutely burn all of his ERS on every single straight. We are low in ERS as well, because we had to use it to help catch up to these guys. But we have set ourselves up nicely to be in the DRS and possibly get both of these guys in the first half of the next lap. Really need to make that happen, honestly. I only got 2 laps to go, and still 6 guys in front of me. I wanted at the very least, on a recovery race, be able to still get on the podium. Right now, we are just absolutely far from that. And we can hopefully see here get a great run out of the corner. They make contact, they're hitting each other, and they can go ahead and do their thing. I'm just going to slip back on the outside. And I almost got an illegal overtake because it flashed yellow as I made the pass, but lucky for me, the guy that I was supposed to give it the position back to went off the track, which negated the need for me to give the position back because it is then considered a car off track, which the game does allow you to overtake even under yellow. So yeah, got a little bit lucky there. Now up the 4th, still in with a chance to get a decent podium position here. 1 more lap to go. The car in front of us is just right here in front of us. We'll have the DRS, and it should be an easy job done in theory, but we got to remember, this is ranked. People can and will mess up your day every chance that they get. Always kind of assume the worst, give people their space, and just be as smooth as possible. Like I said, it's really frustrating to play in ranked. I was definitely frustrated at this point, but we still got to try to make the most of it here. And you can see he gets a bad run through the corner. We get a great run. We turn on DRS. He defends the inside, so we should have the outside here. I know he's going to outbrake himself here. He's going to go for it. It's the last lap, and it's ranked. He doesn't understand patience. He overshoots the corner, and we're out of there. That is P3. Will we be able to get anyone before the end of the race? It doesn't seem so. Everyone else, the last 2 guys, they're just way out far ahead. They got the race in that clean air. They got to avoid all this nonsense that I've had to weave my way through this entire race. But yeah, going all the way down to 18th from pole turn 1 is really frustrating. But the fact that we are able to claw all the way back to P3, make that P2, because like I said, keep it smooth, run your own race. Someone will mess up and give you a free spot. We take those now, we P2. He's pushing just a little bit too hard. Dalton guy, whoever he is, he's going to win this race. Frustrating. Shout outs to whoever beat me in turn 1. It ruined the race. But P2 after that happening, you got to say it was a great performance and a great recovery. And now we get to see what our placement is going to be. This whole time after this race, I was just really nervous, thinking, man, I really hope it. Really hope that these couple races that didn't go great are going to ruin my placement. But then at the same time, I had 4 of the 5 races have podiums, 2 wins. I think I had all 5 pole positions. No, I had 4 of 5 pole positions. Still some great stats. Lots of overtakes, lots of good driving, if I do say so myself. I think we do watch the... No, we skip past the podium celebration. And yes, we do get Silver 2, thank goodness. I'm honestly surprised I got Silver 2. And we got the B safety ring, which is the best starting safety ring you can get. So, while there was some frustrating moments here in our placement matches, we still got the best possible result as far as I know. So yeah, and we are going to continue this video and head on to our races after placements. Now as we head to our next race, our first race outside of placements, so races matter even more now. We're at Azerbaijan, a track that I've always had a decent amount of success on. Yeah, definitely the key to this track is not outbraking yourself, because you're going to have one of two things happen. You're going to go into a wall, you're going to go in, well, I guess one of three things. You're going to hit a wall, you're going to go off into a runoff area, or you're just going to kill all of your momentum leading on to the next straight, because there are a lot of straights that come after 93 corners. So you really want to make sure you're getting good runs out of these corners and not breaking yourself, not outbraking yourself, and yeah, not ruining your race by going into a wall or exit road. I can't think of the name of it right now. Runoff area. Yeah, as you can see, nothing heroic here, just nice and smooth. Kind of missed the apex, so you kind of want to mount that curve on the inside. Coming in the castle section, it's really tricky this year because something that they haven't changed compared to real life is that the inside curve on the first left-hander in the castle section is flat in real life, but it still has a little bit of a lump to it in the game. And in this year's games, the lumps of curves affect the car more, so that's just going to make castle section racing and league racing that much more difficult this year. As you can see, a lot of people are retiring, crashing out, qualifying, and again, trying to practice what I preach, putting in smooth laps, but things like Brazil are just going to happen sometimes. And now, down this straight, you want to hold R2 if you're on pad like me. Very important. If you're not holding R2. This is a total French fry zone. You know, there's time for pizza, time for French fries. This is a French fry section right here. Hold it down. Straight as line as possible to the line. Yeah, that's going to be another pole position for us. Sets ourselves up as good as possible for the race, but with what happened in last race, sometimes you just get beamed out of pole turn one, and let's hope that doesn't happen. 10 cars in this race, so good points on offer. Now we got our qualifying done. Now we just got to execute it in the race here. We really want to get a good start here off the line. Seems like we get a decent reaction, putting the traction down. It's a very short run to the first corner. Holding my breath as I go through turn one, hoping I don't get beamed from behind, and we don't, so we're already doing infinitely better. There's actually 11 cars in this, so it's 10 at qualifying. We got another one added. Caution's behind, chaos is going to unfold. And yeah, it seems like this guy behind me is going to be able to at least keep up a little bit and give us a little bit of a challenge. So the key here will be extending our gap so that he will not have DRS. If he gets DRS, it's going to be very easy for him to save more ERS than us for the last lap. And also just the pace advantage he's going to have in the straights, because the DRS straights are so long on this track. Yeah, you really don't want to allow someone to just hang out. If you've got the pace to pull away from them, you've got to do it immediately on this track. But that's where the risk comes, because when you push on a track like this, you always run that risk of coming in contact with the wall and just ruining your whole race. It's a constant dance that you play on all tracks in Formula One, but especially on street circuits. That line of arrowing on the side of caution. And speaking of that, we try to err on the side of caution, but we still make contact with the wall. We outbrake ourselves there. Just not understanding how early I need to brake there in this year's game quite yet. I make the mistake, but hopefully we can still hold this position even with the wind damage. Car behind clearly within a second. Like I was going to say, if you have the pace, you want to try to brake as early as possible. You're constantly playing that balancing act, trying to err on the side of caution while at the same time not leaving too much time on the table that everyone can just take advantage of it. Still hold it in the turn one here. He did not, either he's not using as much of his ERS as most people do early in the race, or he just didn't get that run out of get that good of a run out of the last corner. Or he might have got damage as well, which would be convenient for us. We have damage. I'm surprised how little it seems that damage affects you. I don't know if that's a setting in rank, or if just this year's game the damage just doesn't affect your car quite as much, or maybe it just affects it a different way. Because I know in last year's game, if you had standard damage on and you got a yellow wing, oh, you were just in the mud. You know, you had no chance of having any pace at all. Even on a 5-lap race, a yellow wing, a definite needed pit stop. But in this year's game, you know, I've lost chunks of wing, and it just seems like I didn't really need the pit, especially for a 5-lap race. It seems like, you know, I wouldn't make up that time to pit. And we don't make the same mistake again through that corner, breaking plenty of time, but we still got this guy right on our butt. And again, we're trying to play a balancing act here, not just with our driving style, but with our ERS. We want to use enough ERS that we're not just letting him blow by, but at the same time, we don't want to burn all of our ERS, and then if he is still in our DRS, we are just done for. A lot of RSs in this race, folks, so hopefully you don't get too confused or with me stumbling over words here late at night on a work night. So, but yeah, that's the excuse I'm gonna make, at least for my shitty commentary at times. Yeah, DRS is now activated on lap 3, and this is the part where I was kind of getting a little worried. You know, I'm happy to have a good race with a guy here, but at the same time, it kind of sucks where you feel like you're a sitting duck out here in front. The car behind is quick, probably doesn't have damage like I do, and also has DRS on a track like this with long straights. I was getting a little worried, but I did notice that where I was faster was here coming up to the castle section, so I'm really trying to focus in to get as good of a Sector 2 as possible, so I have enough of a gap heading into Sector 3 that I don't get overtaken. As you can see already, just tire marks laid down everywhere on this section of the track, people locking up everywhere, spinning the tires on the throttle. Saw those tire tracks going into the wall castle section. I don't know who did that, but whoever it is isn't having a good time. And yeah, as you can see, the proximity arrows on my screen have disappeared, so we at least got a little bit of a gap. It's kind of hard to judge there if it is over a second or not. I guess we'll figure that out here once we get to the DRS after this corner. Well, I guess after the next 3 corners, but these next 2 are taking it full throttle, so I don't really count them that much. I don't know about you guys, but us Americans, you know, we don't really know our corner names because we always just go by numbers for corners. And it just seems weird to me in Formula 1 that some corners, like for example, Austria Turn 2, like is that really a corner? Come on. It's like, y'all guys are just trying to buff your numbers with how many corners are on your track sometimes. And then you got tracks like Singapore where like, hey, guess what? We're going to have the most corners in Formula 1. And then Saudi Arabia shows up and it's like, oh yeah, bruh, every little kink that you take at full throttle is still going to be considered a corner just to confuse the audience. But hey, whatever floats their boat, I guess. As long as you know where you are on the track, then the numbers and names don't really matter. You just sound like a stupid pleb when you don't know them when you're talking to people over YouTube video. But yeah, as you can see, he must have had a bad Sector 3 or made some kind of small mistake behind us, because he wasn't close enough to us to overtake, even with our damage. And yeah, at this point, I was kind of confused what was going on in the race, to be honest. I couldn't really tell if he was using ERS early on or saving it. And I also couldn't really tell if he had damage or not. I thought at one point I heard the sound of a car colliding with a wall, but I don't know, sometimes there's desync in the game, so you think you hear someone hitting a wall, but really on their side, they actually didn't hit the wall. Yeah, you hear the gap. Now we got out of DRS, which sets us up right here for the final lap. We don't gotta worry about the car behind. We still have almost half of our ERS to use just to make sure that we hold the lead. And yeah, the rest of this race should be pretty easy as long as we don't make any dumb mistakes. And yeah, on the final lap, don't make any dumb mistakes. Bring it home for another win, and yeah, another nice recovery, I feel like. Even though we didn't win in Austria either, I still feel like I raced really well.
That's fucking...
Yeah, early on in a game like this, as frustrating it is to make small mistakes like I did there, hitting the wall. Those things are just going to happen when you're trying to drive a car to a limit that you're just not as comfortable with. You know, this year's game is very different. Every year's game feels pretty different in terms of setups and things like that. So mistakes are bound to happen. You just got to try to not get frustrated and just learn for them. Like, for example, I learned the hard way. I need to brake even earlier for that left-hander in Sector 3 than I thought I needed to. So, luckily we were able to learn something that we needed to change about our driving style without even losing SR in the process. So yeah, we're gonna cut it off at this race for this episode. Yeah, I will be seeing you guys in part 3 as we try to continue our climb through Masters. Hopefully we can get a lot more big lobbies to get some big chunks of points and really start burning through these ranks.